No more Chris Gutierrez main events. Please, for the love of God. This guy is the most boring fighter in the bantamweight division. You've got all of these killers around, and you match up any of them with Chris Gutierrez, and you have a snooze fest like we had last weekend. Oh my gosh, that was it was just terrible to get through. It was like I didn't enjoy it. How can Gutierrez train with Jonathan Martinez? I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense to me. Song Yadong got the win. They gave him every round, which was funny. I didn't think that he deserved to win every round, but they gave him every round anyway. No more Chris Gutierrez main events. I'm done. I'm through. I can't say I won't tune in because obviously I will, but yeah. Anyways, I'm your host, Blaine Henry, and today we're talking UFC Vegas 89, whatever number it is. I'm so tired of going to the Apex. It's terrible. It was novel, and it got us our fight fix when we were in the middle of the pandemic. That was. So, yeah. This one was supposed to be in Shanghai. Something happened, and they had to move it stateside, so I'll give them a pass for that. We got one more fight card this year. It's a pay-per-view, so we're not going back to the Apex for that, thankfully. This one was rough. Not really, terrible, but, on paper, I was like, man, there's some good fights on this card. And, you had, Tim Elliott came in and fought Sumadarji, I think. Yeah, I think it was him. And, arm triangle choked him out. It was really cool. But for the most part, this fight, I was kind of like, this whole card, I was like, okay, cool. I'll watch, obviously, because I'm addicted, and the UFC has me by the nads. So let's talk about Song Yadong versus Chris Gutierrez because of how bad the fight was. Chris Gutierrez is a leg kick first type of guy. I'm like, all right, you're like Jonathan Martinez, you train with him. Nope. He plays patty cake all night. He's not trying to smash your leg out. He's trying to tap you. He's trying to annoy you. He's trying to poke and prod you. And then he's trying to land something big spinning. Gosh. It's so boring. It's like if you, Mom, I want John Jones. We got John Jones at home, and it's just Chris Gutierrez throwing patty cake kicks against your leg. Now, they did start to work. Song Yadong kind of stumbled on a couple of these calf kicks, on the outside calf kick, and yeah, that's all the meta right now. But sooner or later, somebody's going to step in on Chris Gutierrez and just blast him with a 1-2. I thought Song Yadong was the man to do that, and he wasn't. There's some heavy hitters at 135. Figueiredo would probably eat him alive, but I don't see after that loss he's probably going to be unranked. Figueiredo ain't fighting an unranked fighter. He's probably going to fight Song Yadong next, which, woo, give me that. Low kick, and Song immediately stepped in the counter. The very first low kick Chris Gutierrez threw, Song was like, I got you, bro. And, he was going to step in the counter. I'm like, hey, that's what we're doing? That's what we're doing. Let's go. And Yadong started to, kick the kicker and kind of, put the forward pressure on. But eventually, Yadong didn't put forth enough pressure and let Gutierrez get back into this. And he's starting to stomp the knee, all that kind of stuff. And Yadong's looking for a 1-2. He doesn't jab in enough, but against a guy like Chris Gutierrez, do you want to? You're going to step in and offer him your leg. I've always thought Song Yadong could do better with his hands instead of throwing mainly hooks. We saw that against Sandhagen. He wasn't varied enough in his strikes. But this fight, the plan was simple. Take him down or step in and land something big. He couldn't land something big because, admittedly, Chris Gutierrez has a good sense of range. It's why he uses these kicks. He feels the range very well. So yeah, a lot of stepping in and looking for hooks for Song Yadong, and Gutierrez backing out straight. At the end of the first round, they had this really good moment to where Yadong had Gutierrez against the fence. He starts landing hooks, and Chris Gutierrez exits out to his left, which was Song Yadong's right, and Yadong threw a did he go to the left? Yeah, and he threw a a left kick. No, it was a right kick. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's an orthodox fighter. So it was a right kick out as he went. And I was like, oh, I like that. Push him to the fence and kick him as he exits. You throw a right hook or a left hook for Song Yadong, and you literally force him to exit out against to your power side. So you kind of just step to the outside, cut him off at the fence. But Song Yadong doesn't do that. He did it once. I'm like, yeah, this is going to happen, and it ended up not happening. Second round, Gutierrez had this really cool teep that landed, and I was like, oh no, this is going to go bad, isn't it? But eventually, Yadong starts piecing together, he jab, hook, right. He starts doubling up on that, and he kind of made an effort to strike better, but, it was really funny. Chris Gutierrez was doing the whole I want to be Muay Thai Sean Strickland thing and picking up his leg, and Song Yadong realized, oh, this is a free takedown. He picked it up and he took it down. And Chris Gutierrez, he's interesting off the ground, but he doesn't do anything like revolutionary, which you don't have to in mixed martial arts these days. You don't have to be a revolutionary unless you're like a specialist, but Gutierrez is not. If he's anything, he's a kick specialist. Not a very fun one at that. I'm going to spend this whole episode talking bad about Chris Gutierrez, probably. Ugh. But anyways, and this was kind of the thing for the whole night. He kind of wanted to set up a triangle. And if you're trying to set up a triangle, you gotta do it quick. You can't just, hey guys, I'm going to slowly move this arm over. Now my leg's going up over your head. We're going to lock it in. Oh, look, I pulled your arm to the side. Crank down, now you're choking. No, that's not what happened. Instead, you need to do it quick. You need to get it up there quick and get them out of there quick with it. Otherwise, they're going to see it coming, and there's a million ways to break posture, a million ways to get out of a triangle every step of the way. So they're going to get out of that. But anyways, at the end of, round 2, Chris had this whizzer on one side. He wasn't letting it go on his right, and then he was trying to get that arm across, and he had the wrist, and eventually ended up grabbing it inside of the glove. And the ref warned him, got Song Yadong off of him and said, hey, look, you better stop that. And Chris threw a fit, what are you talking about? I didn't do it. And you go back on the replay and you can see very obviously he's grabbed the inside of the glove. And from that point on, it seemed like Chris Gutierrez was a bit mentally meh about this fight. It seemed like he felt the ref was out to get him. I don't remember who the ref was, but it was a rightful hard warning. There was already eye pokes on both sides. So, Gutierrez was trying to bridge off the fence and all this kind of cool grappling stuff that he just couldn't get effective with. And when the ref took away that position from him and gave Song Yadong back, he didn't really take away the position per se, but he did take away the whizzer. So Song Yadong got back in the guard, and he didn't have the whizzer going. That's a position takeaway, technically. So, yeah. Song starts landing in the clinch, and then Yadong eventually works out. If I go forward the whole time, he's not going to kick me. Thank God he won't kick me. And it worked. Chris Gutierrez is backing up. He threatened a spin, but who doesn't threaten spins these days? Whatever, man. More pressure, and then he wobbled Chris. Goes to the ground. Song Yadong just gets on top and just kind of stays there. Tries to land ground and pound, and Chris locks him down. Larasenko, who's the best commentator on the night, was pointing out, look, his feet are locked. He's not trying to get out of this position. I mean, yeah. That's what he did. And then the most mind-numbing thing happened in round 5. We know now that he was down 4-0. I had it about 2-2. I can't remember which rounds I gave to who. He goes in Imanari, Granby Rules, whatever you want to call it, and tries to get a leg. And Song Yadong's just like, oh, look, I'm on top of you now. What are you going to do? What are you doing? The most harebrained idea. It didn't work. And he does this all the time in a lot of fights. And I was like, this dude, what is he doing? Trying to get a heel hook? Maybe he was going out for a finish. Maybe he was looking for something big. Didn't get it. Song Yadong got the unanimous decision, and it was by like a large margin too. It wasn't even close. So options for Song Yadong going forward. He's won a couple straight now. Let me see who has he beat recently? Yeah, he lost to Corey Sandhagen a couple fights ago, like 3 fights ago now, I believe. And my phone's not pulling it up. Go figure. But he's won like 2 or 3 straight now. There it is. 2 straight. A win over Ricky Simon, which was supposed to be sacrifice. He knocked him out in round 5 after beating him up. And now Chris Gutierrez lost to Sandhagen, but then he managed to rack up Marlon Moraes, Julio Arce, Casey Kinney before that. Lost to Kyler Phillips via decision. Chito Vera, that controversial win, a draw with Cody Stamann, Alejandro Perez. Like, this dude's fought the who's who, man. Like, he's got a fight against Edgar Screevers, the Karate Combat guy. That's interesting. I might have to go ahead and find that. Karate Combat's got a card this weekend. That's Anthony Pettis and Benson Henderson. I might have to talk about that one later too. So yeah, good win. I like the Petr Yan fight the most. Petr Yan's a former champion, but he's on a 3-fight losing streak. So he's in this point in his career where it's like, are we gonna sacrifice you? Put him against Song. Let him prove himself. He hadn't fought since that Merab fight where he got just dogged. It's just, that was an ugly fight. But Figueiredo fought last week, got his win. He's ranked 1 down from Song Yadong. I like that fight. Figueiredo's the same situation. He's a former champion, but he's a dangerous champion too. So I feel like Deiveson Figueiredo is more dangerous than Petr Yan. Although I would like to see Petr Yan and Deiveson Figueiredo booked up, which leaves Umar Nurmagomedov, another kicker that Song Yadong would have to deal with. This time though, Umar's a little more fun. So yeah, or Saeed, the fake Nurmagomedov, is he the kicker? I don't know, but either 3 of those guys, I think the Umar fight would be more of a you got a name, because Umar has ties to Habib, that's his cousin, and Islam's a champ, so that would be a good opportunity for Song Yadong to build his name. Khalil Rountree and Anthony Smith was a fight that happened. I don't want to mess up my microphone, guys. Sorry, I'm making noises. Anyway, that was a fight that happened, and it was a short notice replacement. He was supposed to fight some Russian guy, and I don't know how to say his name, so I'm not going to try. I'll wait till the announcer say it. Anthony Smith stepped in short notice. Well, Anthony Smith is washed. Probably not as washed as somebody like Thiago Santos was, but he was washed. So, yeah. Anthony Smith comes in and has absolutely nothing for Khalil Rountree, the most violent man in MMA. He was pressuring Rountree. He had some good front kicks early on, but he seemed scared to shoot. And if there's one thing you want to do with Khalil Rountree, you want to make him tired. And Anthony Smith this fight went to the 3rd round. Wasn't long into the 3rd round. It went into the 3rd round. And he didn't do anything to make Smith tired. So, literally, Khalil Rountree running circles around the cage laterally, just skipping around because he knew the takedown was going to come. Anthony Smith kind of just followed him. It's like, Anthony Smith used to be a smart fighter. What's he doing? Like, when he beat Volkan Ozdemir, that was one of the best adjustments. Yeah, so Khalil reacted to a big right. Smith started kicking the gut, and I'm like, okay, Anthony Smith's coming with a good game plan. But then he kind of just stopped. A heavy rear kick to the body from Khalil. Smith overextended, and Khalil landed 2 hooks. Smith backed up. Literally, Anthony Smith was backing up with his high guard like, no, I'm scared. Khalil's like, oh, are you hurt? Okay, I'm going to go forward and hurt. And then he doesn't press. Nice elbow from the break on Smith, or for Smith again. So, like, Anthony Smith did good things in this fight, but he kept overcommitting, and this is exactly what Khalil Rountree was looking for. And when he picked up that read, he stepped in with a right, and Smith fell to his knees, grabbed an ankle, and Khalil managed to avoid it. So, like, I liked what I saw from Khalil. And he had this moment where he slipped to the right and landed a good jab as Smith overcommitted again. It was great. And then round 3, early on, a huge dink uppercut that had Smith literally just pull back. Let's see. I forget what Khalil was. But anyways, he came with a left. and Smith just kind of Scooby-Doo fell. Whoa. Khalil Rountree walked up. Hammer fist ready to go. And the ref called it off. Rountree hit him with the why I oughta. It was kind of funny. Probably saved 10 years off of Anthony Smith's life. No other really fights. I already mentioned Tim Elliott getting the win over Sumajari. Tatsura, though, took on Carlos Hernandez. I think that was a short notice fight, too. But Tatsura is this undefeated Japanese guy, and he grapples like a boogeyman. He's terrifying. Fought second on the card, but this is somebody you really should pay attention to because he's 15-0. He was supposed to fight David Dvorak. He keeps getting, these guys. He's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in the UFC, 5-0. He's 15-0 total. So he's a good prospect. It was time to give him a step up in competition. Anyways, throws high teep, and he falls, and then Hernandez pounces on him. Some great scrambles, but you're not gonna get on top of Tairo, and do whatever you want. So he scrambled. He managed to get up on top. Carlos kept looking for the wizard. After he got up, he was looking for the wizard and trying to throw him, and Tairo just kind of threw him to the side. I was like, oh, this guy's just good. Really cool moment where Hernandez was kind of had him locked down, and he wanted to get to half guard, so Tairo kind of pushes in shoulder pressure, like, hey, I'm coming through, and you're not going to stop me. And he didn't. He didn't stop him whatsoever. One thing I didn't like about Tairo, he's got these good ground and pound moments, and he can really cut you up on the ground, but he doesn't really control somebody when he's in mount. So if you go listen to Khabib Nurmagomedov's instructional on BJJ Fanatics, he talks about controlling. You can actually probably find it on YouTube. He talks about controlling his opponent, and what he does is he clenches his knees tight and he wraps the legs up. Tairo kept his knees apart. I'm assuming that's so he can float his hips, but instead he was out muscling this guy. He should have kept his knees together and just controlled him and battered him out. We got him out there a lot quicker. But his hands looked better. It really did. Round 2, he steps in with a long cross, dropped Carlos Hernandez, and Tairo was the victor. That's a guy you need to really pay attention to next time he fights. He called out Muhammad Mokaev, and I'm like, yes, that's a good fight. And everybody's like, don't feed two prospects to each other. I'm like, bro, no, let's have this fight. That's a good fight. We can look back on that and yeah, that was a great one. And both of them turned out to be great. So yeah. Anyways, guys, what did you think of UFC Vegas 83? My notes just said. Let me know. Sound off in the comments. Drop me a follow on the X, the newsletter right there. Drop me a sub on YouTube. It's the best way to support. And I appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you next week. We're talking 4 videos probably next week. Jake Paul, Bam Edwards, Leon versus Colby Covington, and then Karate Combat I'm going to make a video on because I got to cover my bros. That's it, guys. I'll catch you next